Imagine driving down a road everyone says is cursed. Would you risk it? Buckle up.
Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Brianne.
I feel like tonight is one of those episodes where I say the word cursed and you roll your eyes so hard you sprain something.
Curses are just good PR for bad intersections, but I'm all ears, promise.
Welcome to the Veil, Unsolved and Unbelievable. Okay, so check this out. There's a T-split at the very end of Progress Drive in Strongsville, Ohio, where the road points straight at the brick corner of the Plidco building. My theory, and I mean my own personal theory, is that the minute around 5:35 a.m. feels wrong there. Like the air tilts you toward the wall. Electronics glitch. Engines surge. That's my take.
Or, hear me out, it's a straight shot into a brick corner and your brain hates cognitive dissonance at dawn. But go on.
Here's what went down. Early morning, July 2022. A 2018 Toyota Camry with 3 people inside turns off Pearl Road onto Progress Drive at 5:34 a.m. Nice and controlled on CCTV. About a minute later, the car accelerates straight through the T intersection with Alameda and slams passenger side into that brick corner of Plidco. The 2 passengers, Dominic Russo, 20, and Davion Flanagan, 19, are killed at the scene. The driver, Mackenzie Sharilla, 17 at the time, survives with serious injuries. First responders said it was the worst crash they'd seen. The car looked split in two. When they got there, roughly 45 minutes after impact, Mackenzie was still unconscious, foot reportedly pressed on the accelerator. That detail lives rent-free in my brain.
And the technicals matter here. The car's onboard data recorder showed sustained accelerator input and no braking before impact. An auto expert later said the vehicle was in proper working order, so early theories about a malfunction or someone tampering with the car didn't hold up.
The location has this brutal geometry. It's literally a road that becomes a wall if you don't steer or brake. Google Street View from 2022 even caught the impact spot with a blue plastic sheet over the damaged brick. It's eerie, like the building wearing a bandage.
Before we go further, we should say their names again. Dominic Russo in the front passenger seat, Davion Flanagan in the back. Davion had been adopted at 8, known as an athlete. His family later created a memorial scholarship for aspiring barbers because that was his career goal. It's important to remember who was lost here, not just the mechanics of the crash.
Totally. And the relationship context matters too. Dominic and Mackenzie had been together about 4 years by 2022, starting young, and it was volatile. In July 2022, there were reports from family and a friend that she yelled, "I'm going to wreck this car right now." And there was a separate video of her threatening to break into his house. Those moments became part of the narrative.
Investigators also found GPS or device location data showing Mackenzie had been near that exact area about 3 days before the crash. Prosecutors argued that looked like reconnaissance, like getting familiar with how Progress Drive dead ends into that corner.
There were drugs found at the scene too. Police discovered psilocybin mushrooms and a digital scale. Those led to drug possession and criminal tools counts. But in court, they didn't prove those substances caused the crash. It wasn't framed as a DUI thing. It was framed as intentional.
Fast forward to August 2023. Bench trial, the judge decides, not a jury. Judge Nancy Margaret Russo, no relation to Dominic Russo by the way, found premeditation. She convicted Mackenzie on multiple felonies, including murder and aggravated vehicular homicide, plus the drug-related charges. She even used that unforgettable line, "hell on wheels," when she explained her reasoning.
Sentencing was a week later, in August 2023. Life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. 2 life terms running concurrently. Permanent driver's license suspension. She was 17 at the time, so there's that path to parole review. If you're doing the math, the earliest eligibility is 2038. She's serving at the Ohio Reformatory for Women.
Appeals followed. An initial 2023 appeal arguing insufficient evidence was denied. A second attempt in April 2025 was denied as untimely. And in March 2026, the 8th District Court of Appeals upheld the trial court's decision to deny relief, so the verdict stands.
I want to sit with the place for a second. My theory about that minute at 5:35, it's not a town legend, it's me. I keep thinking about how the CCTV shows the turn at 5:34 a.m., steady, and then, right on cue, acceleration toward the brick. I wrote a little scene to capture the vibe of standing there. Picture a graveyard shift worker outside near the loading dock. The floodlights hum. At 5:35, their phone flickers. The playlist stutters. They feel this phantom pressure in the right foot, like muscle memory pushing down without permission. They step back from the curb. They leave flowers at the memorial and swear the air goes still. That's how the place feels in my head.
It's your brain weaving a story around timestamps because humans are incredible at pattern making. Honestly, the rational picture is grim enough without ghosts in the air. The vehicle data says throttle on, no braking. The car was fine. The timeline fits planning. The prosecutors said 5:30 a.m. was chosen to avoid other cars, which is consistent with an intent to hit the wall, not anyone else.
I hear you, but belief has texture. There's a roadside memorial there. Friends built it early on. You can still picture that blue sheet on the wall from Street View. And when a judge coins a phrase like hell on wheels, it sticks. It turns a corner of brick into a kind of symbol. Symbols carry weight. Sometimes that weight feels physical.
That's psychology, not physics. It's the Baader-Meinhof effect. You hear 5:35 once, then you notice it everywhere, and grief changes perception. People report time slowing, sounds sharpening. None of that means the road has a mind of its own.
So let's argue intent versus influence. Did a person choose this? Full stop? Or can places and moments lean on you? The defense said she blacked out and didn't remember. The court didn't buy that. It's just that my brain keeps snagging on those seconds where a driver lines up with a lethal corner and the world goes quiet. Isn't that bananas?
I'm not minimizing the eeriness, but look at the mosaic. July 2022 threats like I'm going to wreck this car right now, a video threatening to break into his house, GPS suggesting a visit to the spot a few days prior, controlled right turn at 5:34, then full acceleration, no braking, straight into masonry. That's not an unseen force. That's a sequence.
Here's the deal. Even if every technical piece proves intent, I think the minute still holds a charge because of what happened. Not a curse forcing your foot down, but more like a memory that lingers in the air. If you stood there at dawn, you'd feel it too. That's my belief.
And I think if you stood there at dawn, you'd feel cold and creeped out because you're at the scene of a double homicide at an industrial corner with bad vibes and a brutal layout, which is enough.
Back to the facts. After the verdict, families spoke at sentencing. Dominic's mom told Mackenzie to be thankful she was alive. Davion's sister asked for the longest sentence. Some of Mackenzie's relatives later said publicly in 2025 they believed it was an accident. The court's findings didn't change.
Media attention was huge. Court TV segments, YouTube analysis, Killer Cases did an episode, Investigation Discovery released a documentary in 2025, and Netflix dropped The Crash in May 2026. Also, body cam from her 2022 arrest surfaced in 2025, showing her crying during handcuffing, but it didn't change any legal outcome.
There was unusual social media around her hospital recovery too, like posts from the ward and clips later from a wheelchair at concerts. Prosecutors argued some of that hinted at lack of remorse. But the engine of the case was always the digital forensics, CCTV timestamps, vehicle logs, GPS pre-visit, stacked together.
So let me get this straight. Your personal take is that 5:35 at that T-split feels haunted by memory. My take is the place is dangerous because a straight industrial spur leads into a brick corner. And in this case, the evidence says a teenager drove into it on purpose, killing 2 people she knew. That's the horror without superstition.
Yeah, and I still believe some places hold echoes. I'm not saying a curse caused this crash. I'm saying the minute carries a weight now, like the air remembers.
Let's put a pin in that for now. The point is, the case shows how digital breadcrumbs, CCTV, GPS, car data, can reconstruct intent even when the driver says blackout. That's the 21st century detective story.
Before we wrap, can belief in a curse actually change reality, nudge choices or perceptions at a dangerous spot? Or are we just lining up coincidences at 5:35 because we need a story to hold the grief?
I vote story and grief, but I get why people feel the pull.
If you want a deep dive on the case itself, watch The Crash on Netflix. It pulls together the footage and the timeline really clearly.
Right, moving on. For my own sanity, I'm avoiding any roads that end in brick corners at dawn.
Same. If I see a T-split, I'm doing a U-turn and getting coffee. Maybe 3 coffees.
Thanks for listening, friends. Be kind, drive safe, and question everything.
We'll see you next time under the veil.